I'm Rajiv Haté, Senior Litigation Specialist at Kotak Personal Injury and Disability Law. Today I'm going to talk to you about private disability policies or professional disability policies. The first thing I'm going to start with is that if you are purchasing a policy, there are a number of different options and riders available that you may purchase. I'm just going to speak about a couple to start. The first is what's known as an own occupation rider. I strongly recommend to always purchase this. An own occupation rider is essentially a rider that can be added to a policy where the test for being totally disabled will be, are you capable of performing the essential duties of your own occupation? Most disability policies, after a certain period of time, that test changes to can you perform the duties of any occupation based on your education, training, and experience. Often that's after 2 years. If you purchase an own occupation rider, then the test is, can you do your own occupation for the entirety of the policy, the lifetime of it, which most policies end at age 65. And therefore, as long as you remain disabled from performing your own job, you would be entitled to disability benefits until potentially the end of your policy. Again, if you do not purchase this rider, then you would only be entitled to disability benefits for as long as you meet the disability test. And when it changes to can you do any job, whether or not you'd be entitled to ongoing benefits would depend on your capability of working at another occupation. The other rider that is often available is something known as a cost of living allowance. This essentially increases your monthly benefit. Each year it goes up with inflation. I recommend this as well because cost of living goes up every year for the average person. And your disability benefit will only, when you purchase a policy, it only covers the amount that you were earning at that time. When an insurance company is assessing whether or not they will provide you coverage and how much it will be, it's based on your earnings at that time. So any increases in your earnings are not accounted for. And this is where the cost of living allowance rider is helpful in that regard. The last option not the last, but another rider that is available is something known as a future insurability option. Typically, this means that because, as mentioned, your disability benefit is based on your earnings at the time you purchase the policy, a future insurability option means you can potentially increase what your monthly benefit is based on future earnings. Not all insurance companies offer this, and that's something that I suggest you speak to your broker about when purchasing the policy to get more details. But those are 3 important riders to consider when you're purchasing a private disability policy. Now, in the event you are denied a personal or professional disability policy, I recommend that you contact us here at Kotak Law to discuss your options. We offer a free consultation, and we have handled numerous types of personal and professional disability policies. We have handled professional policies and personal policies for lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, dentists, chiropractors, engineers, and others. And these policies are extremely legally worded. There's a lot of legal language in the policies which the average person may or may not understand. If you are denied such benefits, often when it's a private and professional disability policy, the language is such where an insurance company will tell you they are allowed to deny your claim or reduce your benefit payment. But the reality is that perhaps they should not be. Or perhaps if they are going to reduce it, it shouldn't be as much as what they say they are. And this is where speaking with a lawyer here at Kotak Law can be of assistance, as we have gone through numerous types of professional disability policies, and we look at the language carefully. We go as far back as to look at your application when you first applied, to look at what duties you reported you were doing, what percentage of duties that was in terms of whatever your practice or profession may have been, and how that applies to your current situation and current impairments. We have handled these claims on a regular basis for numerous different types of individuals, and we are able to identify and highlight as well as present options in terms of what the policy says and what your options may be when you are considering working. If you are totally disabled for performing the duties of your occupation and you have that own occupation rider, arguably you should be getting the full disability benefit. And this is potentially even if you return to work in some other occupation. So that means you could potentially receive your full monthly disability benefit as well as any earnings from another occupation. Now, if you are doing the same job or similar duties of your job, then you may not be entitled to the full benefit, but a lot of personal and professional disability policies contain either a partial or residual disability benefit, where you could still be able and rather entitled to earn and receive a certain portion of your disability benefits, depending on how much you are working, depending on what tasks you are completing, depending on what percentage of income you are receiving from the job you're doing, and comparing that to your pre-disability earnings and your pre-disability work and working capacity. Again, a lot of this involves looking through with a fine-tooth comb the language of the policy and seeing how that applies. I suggest speaking to a lawyer to discuss your options, because if you opt for example, either residual or partial disability benefits, sometimes that is an option that you cannot go back on. Some of these policies say once you select this, you cannot change that decision, and then you might be stuck with that residual or partial disability benefit for the remainder of your claim, which may not be what you had purchased the policy for, and it may not cover enough of what your earnings were. And that is why it's important to speak to a lawyer about this. In fact, there are some policies that say if you select either the partial or residual option, that's an option, a decision you cannot go back on, and then your benefits only last for a certain period of time, for example, for another 2 years or so. Again, this is why it's important to have a lawyer at Kotak Law review the policy, look at the language, look at the options, and speak to you about what the best decision is for you. And of course, if you are denied personal, professional, or private disability benefits, please contact us at Kotak Personal Injury Law, as we do offer a free consultation and would be happy to speak with you about your options. Thanks for listening.